Meow everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat here. The reason why I sound like an entitled woman with an attitude is because I have lost my voice, so I'm using text-to-speech using Microsoft Word. There is a male counterpart voice that sounds totally creepy, like he wants to get to really know your whole family and your extended family and keep asking questions about what you do for work and what type of socks you wear. So hell no, I'm not going to use that voice.
Hey. I think you were talking about me. I'm totally creepy and want to know your family and what type of socks you and your kids would want to wear on a random Tuesday, because it's important to me. Would you like to go out for a chai tea, or perhaps something more, like chewing on a piece of celery while watching cartoons?
Yuck. Bitcoin. Weekly chart. Gann Square. I've had this Gann Square up for quite a few weeks now. It's at resistance. It looks like it wants to push through, but this candle closes on Sunday night. We are stuck in a range here between the angle and the bottom of the arc. It looks like it wants to break above slowly, but the week is still early and it's tough for me to say for sure since it's essentially still stuck in a range. It got over the Ichimoku Cloud Tenkan and Kijin, or the blue and red resistance lines there, and could still backtest them below before going up further. I'm not necessarily convinced that it would have to go sideways for that long and touch the cloud before going up higher, but that's always a possibility. It's tough for us to know exactly what the market makers want to do to reset sentiment to be so bearish before we have our next leg up, but so far the setup leans bullish. It also got over the 20-week moving average, which is a bullish development, but there could always be a backtest of the 20-week moving average too. Part of the reason why I'm also cautious here at Gann Resistance is because MicroStrategy, ticker symbol MSTR, which is a leveraged play of Bitcoin, has hit the upper Bollinger Band resistance on the weekly chart already, which makes me wonder if we may have to retrace at least a little, if not more, before we are able to go up higher. Don't get me wrong, this is a bullish development, but I just don't know if we would go to the moon from here quite just yet. On the daily chart, it continues to ride up along the 45-degree angle resistance. At times it looks like it wants to break above, but it just couldn't. When it's at resistance, we're supposed to be cautious, but it's riding up and it's getting through some of the previous horizontal liquidity zone and possibly flipping them from resistance to support quietly, basically forming higher high here compared to early March. If it breaks above, it could get to 100 and 1,000 quickly. If it gets rejected hard and goes back to the arc below at 90,000, it would still be a bullish higher low. As Matt Damon said in 2022 before the huge crypto crash, fortune favors the brave. Perhaps I'll just stay put and let this trend reversal play out and not sweat the small stuff. Damn you, Matt Damon. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is this. On the monthly chart, Bitcoin is above the Tenkan or the blue line here. This is bull market behavior until proven otherwise, and I don't think that the bull market is over yet, unlike some other market participants that are very loud on X and on YouTube stating that the top is in. Matter of fact, it just formed a morning star pattern with Tenkan as support, and this is basically setting up to be quite bullish here. Technical analysis isn't 100% correct all the time, but I think the probability of Bitcoin going much higher is pretty good based on what I'm looking at. Looking at my monthly Gann Square, whenever it breaks above a Gann arc level, it tends to gravitate towards the arc above, which has happened from cycle after cycle after cycle. Usually the next big leg up from one arc to another after an arc backtest is when global liquidity, which is represented at the panel below here, breaks out from a long-standing resistance zone. We just had that breakout happen, and it looks like global liquidity is trending up from what I'm seeing after this breakout, like it did the time before and the time before that. If this plays out, the next target is 200,000. I'm not saying that we would definitely hit the arc up above, which has a much higher target, but I also wouldn't rule it out as a possibility either. When would it hit? I don't know, one step at a time, but I am looking at possibly 200,000 here next, if it truly breaks out. I could keep going here, but look, my paws are getting tired from all the text-to-speech typing, so I'm just going to leave this here. If global liquidity truly breaks up to the upside, and if Bitcoin is positioned to go higher even though the sentiment isn't quite bullish at this moment because everybody is bored or scared of the narratives out there, then we could be going quite risk-on. This means that over the next 6 to 12 months, $IWM could run up, and as many of you who don't believe it at this point in time, miners may finally have their day. Coinbase would go up, Ethereum would go up, and speculation would go haywire. All of these would be hugely dependent on whether the world governments want to print money, stay elected, maintain control, get you to shut up while looking at your 401k doing relatively well, so you will do what they tell you to do. How likely is that going to happen? Time and time again. One last thing. Remember this. No matter how scary things get and how bad a pullback or a crash gets, banks can't fail. Again, I'm going to have this AI woman say that one more time. Banks can't fail. This is a ridiculous concept that I want to burn into the back of bears' minds. They're going to keep printing as much money as possible to ensure that that remains to be the case. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and meow meow meow. Until next time.
And if you can tell me the color of your socks, that would be highly appreciated.